Welcome to this webinar. My name is Stephanie, and today's topic is about following the person's advanced care directives in the individualised plan. An advanced care directive is a legal document that serves as the client's living will. This document is important, especially if the person has a life-limiting illness. As the client's illness progresses, it may be difficult for them to make decisions for themselves later on. When the time comes that the client cannot decide for themselves, the Advanced Care Directive is used to guide their treatment. Advanced Care Directives are typically uploaded on the My Health Record website. Advanced Care Directives ensures that the person's preferences and wishes are considered. The purpose of an Advanced Care Directive is to provide details on a person's values, life goals, and preferred outcomes. It contains details on the statement and care a person would prefer or refuse if they had the life-threatening illness or injury. It outlines the medical treatment and care plan that the client wants when they lose their capacity for decision-making, including the client's decision to refuse a particular treatment in the future. It enables the client to appoint an attorney for health and personal matters, including a substitute decision-maker on their behalf. An Advanced Care Directive details the client's wishes, preferences, and instructions for their healthcare, end-of-life arrangements, and/or other personal matters. It includes the information that the support workers need to know, including their physical, cultural, or spiritual needs. The client also provides specific instructions in their Advanced Care Directive. They may state if life-threatening sustaining measures must be withheld or withdrawn. This is considered if a person has a terminal illness with no known cure or chance of recovery, severe and irreversible brain damage that makes them unable to communicate, a severe illness or injury that has no chance of recovery. Individualised plans dictate that the services that a client in palliative care receives. The care team prepares an individualised plan together with the client. The individualised plan is especially useful in palliative care since the same illness can be experienced differently by different people. The plan ensures that the client is not just receiving generic services that do not fit their needs. When creating a plan, the plan care team needs to consider what are the person's needs and goals, what services will meet those needs and goals, who will provide those services, when and where will they provide the services, and how will those services be evaluated. Interpret and follow Advanced Care Directives. Advanced Care Directives in the individualised plan. An individualised plan is created by the client or their representative and the care team. The client can write Advanced Care Directives once they turn 18 years old. The Advanced Care Directive is a legal document that provides a direction for their healthcare when they can no longer decide for themselves. This document also details their preferences in receiving care that is aligned with their values and beliefs. Advanced Care Directives are supported by common law and statutory law. Common law directives follow the common law, for instance, rulings made by court judges. Statutory law care directives are created and governed by state legislation. Interpreting and following the Advanced Care Directives in the care plan. Interpret refers to showing your understanding of something. You must show that you understand what is written in the Advanced Care Directives. Interpretation of the Advanced Care Directives follow these general steps. Understand what is written in the plan. Confirm your understanding with your supervisor and with the client. What is written in the Advanced Care Directive must be followed. To follow means to take steps according to the instructions or directives given. To follow the Advanced Care Directives, you need to identify the directives in the document relevant to your job role. Confirm with your supervisor the directive you identified and the support services related to these directives. Prepare the necessary equipment or documents in preparation for support provision. Inform the client of the support services that will be given to them in relation to their Advanced Care Directive. Confirm with the client when and where the services will be provided. Provide the client with the support services that they need. There are several laws created to protect the welfare of older people. These laws are important in managing the quality of care services that older people receive. These legislations relevant to palliative care in aged care are the Aged Care Act 1997. This is a framework for governing funding for aged care services. It also states that care providers must meet to get government assistance. Aside from funding and regulation, the Aged Care Act also ensures that providers prioritise the rights of their clients. Part of the client's rights is to receive quality care. The relevant chapters within the Act are Chapter 2, Obligations of an Approved Provider and Classification of the Care Recipient. Chapter 3, Details about government financial aid, process for receiving government financial aid, and conditions for receiving financial aid. Chapter 4, Responsibilities of an Approved Provider. The Aged Care Quality Standards list the requirements that care providers must meet. The Aged Care Quality and Safety Commission created these standards. This commission protects the rights, safety, and well-being of older Australians. The standards cover the rights of older people. This includes their right to receive care according to the best practice. Care providers must ensure that palliative care is incorporated within the context of aged care. The Aged Care Quality Standards are dignity and choice. This is about treating people with respect, valuing people's culture and diversity, supporting people to make decisions for themselves, and helping people live their best lives. Ongoing assessment and planning. This is about considering the risk to people's well-being when providing care. Assess people's conditions when planning for care, evaluating the organisation's services for their effectiveness, and informing people about their care and services. Personal and clinical care. This is about providing people with the best care to meet their needs, monitoring people's condition and responding to changes, controlling health risks related to infection, and referring people to appropriate services when needed. Services and supports for daily living. This is about providing services such as food, home assistance, and recreation, supporting people to take part in their community, ensuring provided meals are healthy and enough for each person, ensuring provided equipment is safe and updated. Organisation service equipment. This is about ensuring the environment is safe, welcoming, and comfortable, providing accessible furniture and equipment, and providing people with opportunities to move freely. Feedback and complaints. This is about encouraging people and their carers to give feedback and express complaints, giving people ways to express their opinions, resolving any complaint from people, and improving services based on the people's feedback. Human resources. This is about hiring enough workers to provide care for every person, ensure that the workers are respectful and caring towards people, train workers so that they have the required qualifications to work in aged care, evaluating workers regularly to ensure good performance. Organisational governance. This is about creating a safe and inclusive organisational culture, managing the organisation well, and establishing a good risk management plan. Legislations on aged care. There are several laws created to protect the welfare of older people. These laws are important in managing the quality of care services that older people receive. The legislations that relate to the palliative care and aged care are Quality Principles of 2014. This regulates the quality of aged care providers. Other details of this document include laws for flexible care services. Care may be provided in a residential or home setting and comply with aged care standards. Also related to aged care quality standards, the care provider must comply with these standards. Voluntary assisted dying laws, otherwise known as VAD laws. Clients in the stages of advanced disease, illness, or medical condition can ask for voluntary assisted dying. This process refers to administering a VAD substance to clients suffering from unbearable pain. From the term itself, VAD must be the client's own choice. You nor any other health professionals cannot pressure them to ask for this process. Voluntary assisted dying is done through self-administration In this method, a client takes the VAD medication by themselves with the help of health professionals. Practitioner administration. In this method, a client receives the VAD medication from a health practitioner. Only doctors can perform assessments and administer a voluntary assisted dying substance to a client. As a support worker, your role is only limited to providing information. You cannot, under any circumstances, perform a VAD assessment on a client or help a client get access to any VAD medication. You cannot personally suggest VAD to a client or to any of their family members. Withhold information about VAD when a client asks about it. Legal and ethical requirements. Support workers must consider the legal and ethical requirements when providing support. Legal requirements are responsibilities that must be performed following legislation. The organisation applies the legal requirements. Ethical requirements are the standards and principles set by the organisation. Ethical requirements are based on principles, values, and beliefs that people must act upon as members of the bigger community. These are the legal and ethical considerations that the care team, including the support worker, must understand when working in palliative care: dignity of risk, duty of care, human rights, privacy, confidentiality, and disclosure, and work role boundaries, responsibilities, and limitations. Dignity of risk is the person's right to decide on their own regarding the care provided for them, including their right to take risk. It is accepting that a person can choose what they do and how they live. It acknowledges that these choices come with possible risks. It means respecting the autonomy and independence of a person receiving palliative care and allowing them to make choices for themselves. Duty of care is the legal obligation of a person to take reasonable care of their client, colleagues, and relevant others to ensure their health, safety, and welfare. Your duty of care as a support worker includes providing safe and high-quality service and treating people with dignity and respect. The rights of your client based on the Charter of Aged Care Rights includes the right to safe and high-quality care and services, the right to be treated with dignity and respect, the right to have their identity, culture, and diversity valued and supported, the right to live without abuse or neglect, the right to be informed about their care and services in a way that they understand, the right to access all information about themselves, including information about their rights, care, and services, right to have control and make choices about their care and personal and social life, including whether choices involved personal risk, the right to have control over and make decisions about the personal aspects of their daily life, financial affairs, and possessions, the right to their independence, the right to be listened to and understood, the right to have a person of their choice, including an aged care advocate, support them or speak on their behalf, the right to complain free from reprisal and to have their complaints dealt with fairly and properly, the right to personal privacy and to have their personal information protected, the right to exercise their rights without it adversely affecting the way they are treated. Your duty of care as a support worker includes informing people about their care, giving people control over their decisions, listening to people's opinions and feedback, and protecting people's privacy. Duty of care also considers that any situation has unforeseen harm or risk. You must set preventive actions in place if those unforeseen risks happen. Support workers must always follow work health and safety policies and procedures when performing their duties and responsibilities. To perform your duty of care, you must ensure you reduce the risk to your client as much as possible. You can develop ways to honour their dignity of risk while still protecting their well-being. A support worker may be found in breach of the duty of care when they fail to appropriately act upon any harm, present or unforeseen, that had occurred to a client. This failure will make the support worker liable for negligence. Support workers are accountable for the services they provide. They may face the consequences and sanctions if they fail to meet their duty of care. They are also responsible for reporting any breaches of the duty of care they become aware of by the organisational procedures. Human rights are rights that every person should enjoy. These rights include the following: the right to health care. Older people have the right to receive quality health care. Governments must have laws that address the following aspects to meet the right. Availability, there should be enough medical goods and services in all areas. Accessibility, medical goods and services should be non-discriminating and affordable. Medical goods and services should be physically accessible. It should be easy to find information about medical goods and services. Acceptability, medical goods and services must meet the needs of a diverse population. Quality, medical goods and services must be safe, effective, and efficient. Freedom from discrimination. Discrimination is the unjust, unfair, and prejudicial treatment of people based on age, sex, race, background, or disability. Discrimination may lead to an older person not receiving support for their diverse needs. To ensure that older people's diverse needs are met, aged care systems use the Aged Care Diversity Framework. The right to information. Older people have the right to access information about their care. This includes information about their services options and medical records. The government has set up an aged care information website called My Aged Care to address this. My Aged Care is the government's official website finding suitable aged care needs. The right to autonomy. Autonomy means having control over one's decisions. Clients have a right to make decisions in matters directly affecting them. This includes decisions over their care, health, and home. Australia has several anti-discrimination laws to protect the rights of its citizens, including the Age Discrimination Act of 2004. This legislation aims to protect people from age discrimination in employment, accessing goods and services, education, and implementing Commonwealth laws and programs. The Disability Discrimination Act 1992. This legislation aims to eliminate discrimination against people with disabilities. You should be familiar with the 9 types of disability covered in the Disability Discrimination Act of 1992. They are physical, intellectual, sensory, neurological, learning and psychosocial disabilities, diseases or illnesses, physical disfigurement, medication conditions, and work-related injuries. The Racial Discrimination Act of 1975. This legislation aims to promote equality before the law for all people, regardless of race, colour, or national or ethnic origin. Part 2, Section 9 of the Racial Discrimination Act outlines 4 acts that are considered unlawful for a person to be based on someone's race. They are distinction, exclusion, restriction, and preference. The Sex Discrimination Act of 1984. This legislation aims to protect people from their unfair treatment based on their sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, intersex status, marital or relationship status, pregnancy, and breastfeeding. Ensure you treat people equally. Avoid committing any of the 3 types of discrimination based on the Sex Discrimination Act. They are sexual orientation, gender identity discrimination, and intersex status discrimination. Privacy, confidentiality, and disclosure. Privacy is a right of people to keep their information to themselves. Confidentiality is a responsibility to keep a person's information private. Any information shared must be safe from unauthorized access. This includes any record about older people and their families in aged care. The care provider must ensure to keep these records private. Outsiders must not gain access to these records without the person's consent in care. Examples of protected information include personal records, example full name and address, medical and vaccination records, financial and insurance information, records of services received, records of reported instances of abuse, criminal records, contact records of the person, their family, or representatives. The Privacy Act of 1988 is legislation that protects people's private information. The Act includes exceptions where disclosure of private information is acceptable. These exceptions are: information is necessary to provide medical care, information may affect public health and safety, Information is necessary to keep the person safe. A representative has given consent if the person is unable to. You must also follow the Australian privacy principles. Your personal responsibility to maintain privacy and confidentiality include strictly following the organisation's records policy, not keeping a personal copy of your client's records, not sharing information about your client to anyone outside the organisation, not uploading your client's records anywhere else online. Work role boundaries and responsibilities and limitations. Support workers must always maintain a professional working relationship with their clients. When providing support and care for the client, support workers must not share personal matters to clients during work hours, do all the work for their clients, engage in a non-professional relationship with clients, their friends, and family members. When providing support and care for the client, support workers must not visit clients outside of shifts, accept money or expensive gifts from clients or their family members, advise the client on matters outside your work role, be involved with the client's purchase or consumption of alcohol or illegal substances. Comply with end-of-life decisions in the individualised plan. Decisions are often made regarding the type of care the client wishes to receive in their end of life. It is your duty to respect these decisions. You must trust that the client knows the risks associated with them. Make sure that you follow these legal requirements when carrying out your client's end-of-life decisions. Laws about medical decision. Some states and territories have their own laws related to aged care. There are specific laws in some states and territories about making medical decisions. These decisions usually relate to end-of-life care. These include consent to medical procedures, such as surgery. These decisions also include consent to ventilation and resuscitation. Older people may also include their decisions regarding organ donation. Substitute decision-making. Power of attorney is power assigned to someone that allows them to make medical decisions for another person. An older person can choose someone they trust to consent on their behalf when they can no longer do it. The power of attorney is usually given to a family member, close friend, or advocate. When someone has this power, they can consent to the medical procedures for someone else. Report the person's changing needs and issues in end-of-life care. As a client's illness progresses, their needs will continuously change. Issues that are identified in the early stages of diagnosis will also change. To continue providing care that fits the client's current condition, you must report their changing needs and issues. Reports are essential in the documentation process, as these serve as official documents of the palliative care provision. Reports will also serve as document references when updating the carer's client's individualised plan. Some of the client's changing needs during end-of-life care may include higher level care to address the physical symptoms of the illness, psychological needs, example, addressing feelings of anxiety or depression, emotional needs, such as addressing fear and concerns about end of life, spiritual needs, example, finding solace in one's faith, help with tasks such as feeding, increasing levels of physical pain, experience of intense emotions such as anger and hopelessness, negative psychological impact of the illness, client's loss of dignity as their health deteriorates, planning for inevitable death, medical interventions. To report the client's changing needs and issues through verbal and written means. Regularly record observations about the client's needs and issues. Consistent recording allows you to track any and all changes to these needs and issues. Also note down any observed changes in the client's needs and issues. Ensure that the information recorded is accurate and complete. Aim to be objective by using language that describes what was seen, observed, or heard. Submit the report to the appropriate person on time. Alternatively, commute your findings to the appropriate person promptly. Monitor and refer the impact of the person's end-of-life needs, issues, and decisions. The examples of clients' needs during end-of-life care include higher level care to address the physical symptoms of the illness, psychological needs, emotional needs, spiritual needs, and helping with tasks. The client can experience their issues during end of life, which are often consequences of the client's condition. These issues include increasing levels of physical pain, experience of intense emotions, the negative psychological impact of the illness, the client's loss of dignity as their health deteriorates, and planning for inevitable death. These needs and issues during end-of-life care also affect the client's decisions for themselves. These decisions often involve transitions. Transitions are the changes caused by deterioration or the improvement in the client's health condition. The client decides their end-of-life care for the following areas. Place where care is given. It could be at home or at a residential aged care facility. The level of care received, informal care, no doctors or professionals, or professional palliative care. Goals of care, palliative care to relieve symptoms, or no care. You must monitor the impact of the client's needs, issues, and decisions on the family and relevant others. Monitoring is a process of observation, checking, and recording of data over a period of time. Monitoring is usually done to check for changes in something. You must observe the families and relevant others' responses to the client's needs, issues, and decisions during end-of-life care. Check for any changes in the families and relevant others' responses to the client's needs, issues, and decisions over time. Record all initial observations and any subsequent changes over time. Referring to the appropriate member of the care team. Concerns will become more obvious during your monitoring. Some concerns will fall outside your job scope, example, medical interventions. Hence, you must refer to the appropriate member of the care team for support. To refer may mean to direct someone to another person for help, clarification, or guidance. To approach another person for help, clarification, or guidance. A reporting line refers to the structure of an organisation. This tells you to whom you will report within your workplace. It is also known as an organisational chart. You need to know the reporting line of your organisation to identify whom to refer a concern. Below is a simplified example of reporting line in an aged care setting. Starts with the board of directors, the chief operating officer, who handles residential care manager, the home care manager. The chief executive officer handles the marketing and communications. So then you have the medical staff, support staff for the chief operating officer, and then the medical staff, support staff, administration staff for the chief executive officer. In this chart, you can see to whom each role reports. Under the bottom row, there are still different hierarchies, such as head of medical staff, who's after registered nurse and nurse assistants. Head of support staff, who's after the support workers and volunteers. If there is any concern or issue that is outside your work role, use a reporting line to refer to the concern or issue to the correct person. Direct the individual to the correct person, or you can seek the correct person for guidance and clarification. The referral process will vary according to the circumstances of the concern and your organisational policy and procedures. In general, you refer by doing the following steps. Identify the concerns or impacts that fall outside your scope of role. Coordinate with your supervisor regarding the concerns and issues you identified. Identify the member of the care team that can best address these concerns or impacts. Example, a doctor for pain medication issues. Relay the concern with the appropriate member of the care team. Set a consultation between the member of the care team and concerned family or relevant others as needed. Support the person's right to choose the location of their end-of-life care. Instructions for end-of-life care are typically included in the advanced care directives. It also incorporates in the individualised plan. These instructions may consist of how and where to deliver care services. This includes providing end-of-life care services in the client's preferred location. End-of-life care services may be provided in the home, a palliative care unit, hospice, a hospital, or residential aged care facility. End-of-life care at home. For some clients at the end of life, their priority is to spend as much time with their loved ones. Unlike in the hospital or hospice, where the client is constantly monitored, home care can feel more relaxed and less clinical. The client may still access medical care and support at home, but according to their wishes. This may help them gain a sense of control over the last part of their life. As a support worker, your role requires you to provide the best possible care for your client, wherever they may be. Your job responsibilities may include providing the following: domestic care, such as cleaning and washing clothes, personal care of bathing and going to the toilet, transportation, going to appointments, going out for an errand, and meals, preparing meals and preparing special diets. End-of-life care at a residential care facility. Some clients choose to spend the rest of their days in a residential aged care facility. If they have been living there for quite some time, the facility may have become their home. It can comfort them to be surrounded by familiar staff as they approach the end of life. Residential aged care facilities provide continuous care and assistance for older people. Some clients may need ongoing care only an aged care facility can provide. Your job responsibilities may include providing support with daily activities, personal care with hygiene, such as bathing and going to the toilet, transportation, example chaperoning, going to appointments, meals, example assisting preparing meals or special diets, and medication reminders. What have we learned? In this session, we have learned about following the person's advanced care directives in the individualised plan. In the next session, we will learn about responding to signs of pain and other symptoms. Your next step is to go to your tutor's online learning portal and complete the assessment activities. Thank you for your time today, and I hope you found the session informative.